everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cup Duet Reviews. My name is Jillian Robinson. I'm the Associate Artistic Producer here at Cup of Hemlock Theatre, and today I am joined by a new Duet Review guest. This is Katie Crompton. Katie is performer, director, movement, best friend, all the titles. Katie is, yes, the last one especially is always in my corner as a bestie, but is also a phenomenal theater practitioner. So we are super lucky to have her finally meet us on an episode here at the Cup. Katie, how's it going?
Great. Thanks so much for having me, Jill. I'm
Thanks
so excited.
much for coming. I'm excited too. So Katie and I have the great honor of unpacking and discussing a production that is a co-pro production with Nightwood Theatre and Tarragon Theatre. It is Enormity, Girl, and the Earthquake in Her Lungs. This is a piece written by Chelsea Woolley, directed by Andrea Donaldson, and it is running at the new space for Nightwood Theatre. It is the Nancy and Ed Jackman Performance Center, located on Yonge Street. And the run is going from September 16 to October 5, 2025. Beautiful piece. A heavy piece. Going to cover a lot of things today in this episode. But before we fully dive in, Katie, welcome to the Cup Icebreaker. What is in your cup? What are you hydrating with today?
Or dehydrating.
Fair.
I've just got some drip coffee with some oat milk going
Nice.
on. Yeah.
We love it. And is that like a little lemon mug? A mug with lemons?
It is
on
little lemons.
Cute.
Yeah.
Love that. I am also drinking some coffee. Yesterday, Katie and I hung out too before this recording, and we were talking about apple pie and that it's like fall. So I bought some apple pie caramel creamer. So I've got that and some coffee.
Yum.
Yeah. I've also got, a big day. Fall is kind of springing us all into all the things all at once. So we've got a caffeinate to start us off.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's blast off and start off the discussion for Enormity Girl and the Earthquake in Her Lungs. Katie, overall, what did you think of the piece and also the new space too that Nightwood has presented for us?
Yeah, the space was gorgeous. It's such a beautifully intimate venue while still not jeopardizing any production quality abilities. It's a gorgeous space.
Totally.
And I loved this show. It was an emotional roller coaster for sure. And it really hit hard, but there are so many parts of it that are still very stuck with me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree across the board. Just to kind of piggyback on the Nancy and Ed Jackman Performance Center, essentially it is kind of like the first floor of this, it almost seems like a condo building, and how the production company has completely, transformed the entire hallway space as concession stands. There's the restrooms. And then, theater itself almost seems like it could be like a black box malleable space. How it was set up for us was proscenium. But this particular production had like a carpeted floor, which was a cool little addition. It really did feel like we were just walking into black box theater. So congratulations, Nightwood, for sort of sprucing up this new event to house, like you said, this very heavy emotional piece. Again, history of Nightwood. I wasn't expecting any less. I know you're kind of going to walk in and really be hit with a wall of emotion, and whether it's personally or thematically, there was not a dry eye in the audience. Katie and I were really bearing witness to everyone getting something from this. But on that level, as much as, it was kind of an overarching, anyone could get anything from this piece, the specificity and precision of this story presented by such a tightly compound ensemble was brilliant. So I just kind of want to generally give praise to the fact that this story was universal enough for everyone to kind of dip into, but the specificity of the movement, the way the script operates is very fast paced and jumping on. Just the cohesion of the entire ensemble and the specificity to Vic, our main character's story, was resident alongside it generally impacting us. Would you agree?
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And if a piece can do that and sort of balance and toggle between that, I think it's also what musters up emotion, right? The brilliance of that carry through. Yeah, before we dive too far into, I have a lot of folks and friends working on this piece from the production side. I just want to shout out Amelia, Lee, obviously on the boards, good friend of mine, Emma Jade Sims, plays one of our characters. too. So just kind of giving like a close to home Cup shout out to some of those folks there. But yeah, so the piece, we're going to probably pop up the spoiler shield sooner rather than later, because we can kind of get as specific as we want, and we just don't want to spoil too much on the forefront. So one of the constant sort of images in this piece and utterances is daisies. So Katie and I thought it was prescient to kind of have daisies be our spoiler shield. So let's pop those up now, just so that we don't have to, shelter any more of our thoughts. Okay, before we fully jump into spoiler zone, let's give you all a tiny synopsis. Again, my brain went into full, I don't want to give anything away, but I do want to glaze a little bit of storyline for everyone. So again, it's a tight ensemble. We follow the character of Vic. She's a young woman, and basically the set is just a single bed, like we said, on carpeted floor. And she kind of starts the piece off exploding her thoughts, and she is in sort of a panicky state. We're not quite sure the bits and bobs, honestly, I would say, of the entire story. We sort of get that fed to us throughout, but we do know that this character is in some sort of stress. And then the rest of the ensemble comes on stage throughout. And again, sort of Vic's story and history and sort of making sense of her thoughts come to life in this piece. Like we said, that is very quick paced, very cohesive. And essentially it is, just a sort of meditation on Vic's trauma and history with what she is dealing with presently and what she has dealt with through childhood. Yeah, all done through text. There's some music, there's some movement. And as I mentioned, the spoiler shield being the daisy, there's some like daisy imagery strewn throughout too. I think that gives enough of a synopsis, Katie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beauty. All right, we're jumping back into the daisy spoiler zone. Yeah, so the daisies. Katie, do you want to kind of like talk about the daisies? Like they kind of popped in and out everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those images that that is so like peppered in throughout the whole, like from the beginning, but it's one of those things that it doesn't really click.
Yeah.
What the actual impact of it is until like much later on.
Yeah, they pop in. They kind of like, so actual daisies have like fallen from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And then, we find out like the little girl is referred to as Daisy. So the little girl meaning like the inner child. So so there's a small child that comes out near the end, and it kind of makes sense because, again, this trauma, spoiler alert and trigger warning here, folks, but the character of Vic has been abused physically and sexually as a child up until now. And the space she is in, we find out, is a shelter. So she has sort of made that choice to abandon her living arrangements and kind of like is in this limbo phase of what are the next steps to kind of wade through all of this. And like we said, through the journey and with all of the ensemble, which actually act as extensions of her in a way. They play different like friends, they play whatever, but in my opinion, how I got it, and back me up, Katie, but also they're like extensions of herself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So at the end, there's a little child that comes on and Vic refers to her as Daisy. So again, maybe her real name is Daisy. We don't know, but as we find that out at the end, this sort of physical signifier of daisies dropping from the sky, to me, that rounded out like, right, this is a childhood trauma that is constantly present and sprinkling over her pockets of life. I'll kind of pass the torch your way, Katie. Is there anything that's standing out or you really want to get out the gate to chat about?
Yeah, I think the thing that like really stuck with me the most, I mean, you've already mentioned it a couple times, but like the rapid pace of it and the urgency that the show had throughout the whole, like pretty much the whole time, where like it's set within the first like 10 minutes that Vic has like arrived at this shelter and all of these like swirling thoughts that she has. And that's really reflected in the dialogue.
Totally. Yeah, the writing is so, it's one of those pieces where, again, it reminds me of a lot of Carol Churchill pieces or just any sort of non-traditional written pieces where you have like the slashes where characters are jumping on top of text. And definitely in the rehearsal process, there would have had to be that sort of rhythm and like vocal choreography that would have had to be peppered in with this ensemble. So once again, absolutely tipping my hat to every single person on that stage, because not only, yes, is your function to be extensions of this character, so there is a semblance of you already have to be in a way inside this person's brain, but just the mechanics of the text proper, these types of pieces that are very technical and reliant on rhythm, it calls for a cast that is connected beyond like the regular needed connection for a cast. So yeah, cheers to all of you. Everybody was so strong and just very, as Vic, who, like, mentioning Vic is played by Vivian Endicott Douglas. I've seen Vivian perform in some other pieces as well, and she never fails to absolutely give every single morsel of her being. Like the attention and like chewiness she has to text delivery. And then just the fact that this text is so weighted in inner child, weighted in trauma, weighted like the due diligence needed for this role was absolutely carried through Vivian. So shout out Vivian. Thank you for being the sort of fulcrum. But every other person on that stage, like, you have to have a semblance of what Vivian is giving, but also show it in a more dramatic or exalted or, you know, sillier or like angrier way. And so I think all of the people on stage did that. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. But also remained like in their own authenticity of their own performance, if that makes sense.
They all had such like
neat.
unique personalities to each of these extensions of self, which just made it feel even more like they were a single unit.
Like, yeah, but then, and then also going back to what I said earlier, like the sort of general universal takeaway from this too is we do feel kind of early on that, yes, these are extensions of her, but there's enough like different ages and bodies on stage that you are able to also see the story as like a cohort of individuals supporting this person. So it's like extensions of her, but also a community supporting her.
Yeah.
So I think, again, nodding my hat here too to Andrea Donaldson, taking that from script to stage and really giving us sort of that visual and that universal support system alongside the extension of Vic. Lovely. Let's talk a bit about production elements. Yeah. So again, we just said the space was beautifully kind of carved out as it was a proscenium viewpoint, but definitely cozied in this sort of black box-ish setup. The space was carpeted. We had, again, the bed center stage, which that never really changed. It kind of changed orientation, but it was, again, kind of the heart of the stage. And then sort of like a V-shaped wall going back, which again, I love because I think that gave us the V of Vic as well. Sort of has that sort of, this might be looking so far into it, but like the female sort of perspective of like the angular scope there. But then the walls were kind of painted as either like they were like brick, like neutral brick, which I think was lovely because it really allowed when we were, you know, inside the basketball gymnasium or inside her house or even inside the shelter, there was that neutral sort of backdrop that allowed the characters to bring the space to life. And then the pop-up of props, like we had the basketball roll in when we talked about Vic's experience on the basketball team and the unfortunate recurrent abuse that she experiences with her coach. The dropping in of like the ponies, the stuffed animal ponies, because we find out that as a child, she loved horses, and obviously having them be stuffed animals kind of accelerates that childhood experience. So just, the attention to the little pop of props, shouting out for sure. Yeah. Katie, do you want to kind of talk about how the like actors weaved in like as coach and and how that kind of.
It was really interesting to see such a like bare bones space, but you still had all of these items like seemingly like materializing. And like an image that really sticks out with me is when the wig was taken out and there was the hair being torn off of the head, and having those things, like all of those props ended up kind of like cluttering the space in a way that like added to that like chaotic energy
Yeah.
until everything stopped. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think piggybacking on that too, of when there is a memory or you're, getting over a pocket of, not even getting over, wading through a pocket of stress, a pocket of intense change, a pocket of, new relationship. Like now I'm using all these as examples, like the chaos that you're explaining that was presented through these like snapshot of childhood or teenagehood, or like, resembling like the flower petals. What is that? Is that like femalehood? Is that, her name? Like all of this sort of chaos, like it is what happens in the human brain and heart as you were going through this journey. So, well, yeah, again, tipping the hat to creating theater signifiers to literally embody what it is like to go through this choice, this sort of like next step process that is super heavy. Yeah. Overall, like beautiful use of theater supporting what this story is. Yeah. Also the lighting, there was like beautiful, like a purple hue that kind of like filled the space for most of it. And to me, that personally calls out like purple, and deep purple symbolize like it's a symbol of womanhood, of royalty, of queendom, like of safety. So the fact that was kind of like a hug throughout the piece, but then the pop out of like the certain, again, precise spotlights. There's a very visceral image where we see Vic embody herself as a young child being thrown into a cold shower as a form of abuse. And there's sort of like this orange, well, actually they talk about it, saffron bathtub. So like a saffrony orange light that almost seems like fire, like coal fires that are showcasing us in this very like honest state of hell that little Vic would have had to step into. And the lighting choices of indicating the shower water too were just such like an icy and fiery lit moment that, again, just absolutely reifies and supports the feeling that Vic was going through. Again, we're spoiling quite a bit, but we aren't matching all of the elements we're talking to with the storyline. So like really, folks, go to see this show. Like I said, and the first thing Katie and I said is this story is very specific and you are on this journey with the character, but there is enough general universal sort of pondering and meditation that this piece does to you as an individual. So go and see this piece, go and honor this new fresh space that Nightwood has found for themselves. And I really hope this piece gets more life, because I think it is a nod to abuse, a nod to womanhood, a nod to taking those next steps, a nod to working through stuff, even though it's messy and chaotic, a nod to knowing that you have community there if you need it and how you need it. Yeah. Anything else you want to kind of add there, Katie?
That was a beautiful summary. I don't know, other than like the piece that was the most, like that stuck with me the most was the like not even just connecting with, but like empowering and also forgiving your past, present, and future. And that is like, even if you haven't experienced what the main character is experiencing, I feel like everybody can connect to that specific theme.
Yeah. Can you actually say that again? Because I think that it definitely universally resonates with this piece.
Yeah. The connecting and forgiving and empowering every single aspect of yourself and every single iteration of yourself in the past and moving forward. Yeah.
Wow. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's the vein that this piece definitely presses on and invites us to explore as an individual. Whew. Okay. I mean, I feel like this is short and sweet, but like, do you have any other thoughts or any other sort of punch out moments?
I think it is just one of those pieces that did leave me speechless in a lot of ways. And it's, you just got to see it.
It's really one of these We talked about this too. It's like, it's one of those you have to see. It's going to be with you for a long time. And like,
Mhm.
it's a piece that I would want to like go in with like a fine tooth comb, almost like write an
Mhm.
essay about, because I think there is so much like that this piece is saying underneath too. Because again, like we said, the collectivity of performance and the jumping on of text. And yeah, there's a lot. There's definitely new like life beyond this run for this piece. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, but beyond this run doesn't exist yet. So definitely attend this run. So again, this is Enormity Girl and the Earthquake in Her Lungs. It is written by Chelsea Woolley, directed by Andrea Donaldson, co-pro between Nightwood Theatre and Tarragon Theatre. It is happening at their new space, Nightwood's new space, Nancy and Ed Jackman Performance Center, located on Yonge Street. And it is running until October 5th. So grab your tickets. We will post the link below. Yeah. And then on that note, before we officially sign off, Katie, where can folks find and follow you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Katie R. Crompton. And you can also find me performing in Antigone this coming November with the Sunbeam Theatre Company. We're going to be at Factory Theatre between November 5th and 9th. And it's a really cool production. Our director, Megan Salmon, has decided to set this like very well-known Greek tragedy during the 1960s and the civil rights movement.
Awesome.
Really relevant. I think it's a really important piece for right now, and it's really exciting to be a part of.
Love that.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we're super excited to tune in there. I'll pop Katie's handle and all the links to check out that production below too. And possibly down the line, there may be an episode where we chit chat a bit more about that production too. So yeah, love that. Love that so much. Great. Folks can find and follow me at my artist Instagram account, Jillian.Robinson96, to keep up with some antics there. I'm doing a lot of playwriting right now and kind of exploring that hat. So that's been super lovely. Keep your eyes open for maybe some stuff in that domain. But other than that, you are either listening or watching the Cup right now. So yeah, follow us, Cup of Hemlock Theatre. We are on YouTube. We are on all the social media pages. Again, it is a boisterous sort of blast off into the fresh theater season that is fall in Toronto. So lots of episodes down the line, some interviews, all the veins of the cup are coming at you. But in the meantime, go out and see these pieces. Alongside this piece, I saw some other shows with other companies in the same week, and I was not disappointed by any performance that is on our stage right now. So there's some really, really rich Canadian works happening. Support ourselves, friends. But on that note, let's grab our caffeine, give one final cheers. And Katie, thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to have you on another episode with us here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Woo woo. Okay.
Woo.
Bye, everyone. Stay safe and have a great day. Cheers.